death march. The forced march
On
of the
that
American
march
prisoners
one
by
of
the
the darkest
Japanese,
moments
which
in
caused many
Philippine
to
and world
die.
history
These were
because
the
of the
troops the
extreme
general
pain
had
and
in
loss
mind when he
experienced by
returned to the
prisoners of
Philippines.
war.
The march was marked by hunger, thirst, sickness, violence, and death. Thousands of Filipino and American soldiers suffered under the burning heat without proper food, water, or medical care.
100 pounds, we're down to 135, 125 pounds.
When we talk about Bataan that march, we speak of sufferings, forced transfers, and immense tragedy. But what if I told you that there are claims circulating online that the whole thing was voluntary?
Our argument is clear. The Bataan Death March was a forced march, a brutal crime against humanity, and a violation of international law, and any claim suggesting it was voluntary is historically false and fabricated.
To break down this deception, we've invited four student history enthusiasts from Batangas State University, Alangilan campus.
The Mint were debunking claims that the Bataan Death March was simply a transport measure imposed by the Japanese Imperial Army, that it was an orderly and disciplined march, and that it was a test of endurance or resilience rather than a humanitarian tragedy.
General MacArthur spoke as he left for Australia under presidential orders will be forever etched in the pages of history and in the memories of those he left behind.
The President of the United States ordered me to
mostly online, on social media platforms and in forums promoting partisan political narratives. They often use vague language or misinterpret post-war testimonies. The perspective of these sources is usually to diminish the atrocities committed during the war, often for nationalistic or political gain.
These were the troops the general had in mind when he returned to the Philippines.
as I understand it, of organizing the American offensive against Japan. The primary
Let's dive into the factual, historically accepted account. What are the facts that completely obliterate the voluntary march claim?
The Bataan Death March was a transfer of approximately 76,000 Filipino and American prisoners of war. It began on April 9, 1942, after the surrender of Bataan. Crucially, it was conducted by the Imperial Japanese Army under inhumane conditions.
We rely on primary sources like the official war records, personal letters, and sworn testimonies of survivors, both Filipino and American. For example, the testimonies presented at the post-war trial of General Masaharu Foma described forces marching at bayonet point, lack of food and water, and summary executions. The purpose of this document was legal and historical record keeping, making them highly credible.
The march spanned about 65 miles. Thousands of prisoners died from starvation, dehydration, physical abuse, or were simply shot or beheaded for falling behind. This isn't a voluntary walk, it is a death toll.
We also look at secondary sources, books by reputable historians like Dr. Ricardo Trotase or military historians who use official archives. They anonymously describe it as a forced march, an atrocity, and a war crime. Their context is objective historical analysis, making them credible.
To break down this deception, we've invited four students, history enthusiasts from Batangas State University, Alangilan campus. Welcome, Ms. Aliana Tolentino, Ms. Nicole Di Malibot, Mr. Cyril Cadano, and Mr. Julius Morano. Let's dive into the factual, historically accepted account. What are the facts that completely obliterate the voluntary march claim?
The Bataan Death
Filipinos and American soldiers, prisoners of war. Why is this myth circulating? What are the potential motivations behind this historical revisionism? Our argument is clear. The Bataan Death March was a forced march, a brutal crime against humanity, and a violation of international law. Any claim suggesting it was voluntary is historically false, fabricated, and politically motivated.
Our job as students and citizens is to hold fast to the truth and demand historical accuracy. The victims of Bataan Death March deserve nothing less.